to another video feature of the Immersive Worlds Handbook. Just behind me, maybe you can see the giant snow globe. So I want to talk to you about immersion in a different sense today here at the IAAPA convention in Orlando, Florida. Okay, so I'm just taking a stroll here through the IAAPA show, through the coin-op area. And what I'm trying to express in this video, I'll turn the volume down here, is just how massive the IAAPA trade show is. And I'll give you a sense in a second of the scale based on the map, which is probably even too big to fold out here in the screen. But so basically how this works is, my video just stopped there. How this works is that the trade show is organized by different types of attractions. And let me try to, first off, give you a sense. I think the GoPro will pick this up. These are all the exhibitors, and there are over 1,000. And I read that it's close to 7 to 8 miles of a trade show floor if you walked the whole space. And to flip around this way, you can get a sense of the lay of the land. Again, this is pretty massive. I'll show you on the outside, you have all the inflatables and the outdoor exhibits, and there was only one day, fortunately, where there was rain, and most of the other days it was pretty good weather for the outdoor show. It does rain quite a bit in Orlando, as you might expect. So that's the exterior, and then on the inside, there are two entrances to the Expo Trade Hall floor. You also have inflatables along here. You have a series of rides in this area. The main IAAPA office is here, where a lot of people were gathered for Wi-Fi and so forth. And then you have other areas in the, I guess on the west side here, that are available to guests. And so you have the theming high-tech pavilion here. I'll show you some of that. And then you also have first-time exhibitor pavilion there. So this, I think, gives you a sense of how massive the show is. Just get an overall sense. As you can see here, I captured with the GoPro and my other cameras well over 20 different videos. So I was trying to just pull this all together and get a sense of the major thematics and what I want to say about the IAAPA show. Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting when you go is you get all this literature. And so for someone like me who's studying theming and also doing consulting work, it's very important to have this type of information. Depending on the company, they produce glossier versions here where you can open it up. This is Vision. And you can see here they show everything from the animatronics to artificial landscapes, steel construction. Very, very impressive brochures that are available. And I certainly didn't pick up all of these. I was trying not to head home with too many of these brochures. Here's one for Forak. If you know Gordon Grice's work from the Immersive Worlds Handbook, he works for Forak, and again, a very attractive brochure showing you some of the mini projects that they've worked on over the years. What else do we have here? These directories are pretty useful for me to see the different companies and individuals working. This is a entertainment directory for all of the UK that shows you all the various companies that produce not just themed attractions, but technology. And as you'll see on the videos here, everything under the sun imaginable. Theme park rides, special food technology, social media, I mean, you name it and it's available. Again, you can see here for a lot of the stuff happening today is very virtual or hybrid ride technologies, as you'll see, combining roller coasters with VR experiences, Oculus type glasses, and so forth. And so that's kind of where we're headed, I suppose, in terms of the future that's reflected at the trade exhibit. And I spent, I don't know, I think like 3 to 4 days in the hall. I mean, it was very massive. My first experience going there was just this sense of overwhelming joy of seeing everything there. And then, as I said earlier, trying to make sense of it. So I can show you a few more of my videos that I captured. I'll try to put this all together As you can see here, you have everything from small scale attractions to much larger rides and so forth. So you can see a lot of the different ride companies are showing not necessarily their new rides. They often had just virtual versions of it. This is Sally Ride Corporation. I thought this was kind of cool. They had all the various guns from their interactive rides where they stress the component of people, guests interacting with the rides. Again, this is just my unedited video. So many of these types of attractions, right, where you're doing the classic arcade game, the shooting range, and maybe a new twist on it. And so I saw quite a few of those that I had an opportunity to experience during my trip through the hall. I think you saw there virtual bowling. I mean, there was just so much to take in, as you might imagine, as hopefully you will imagine from experiencing this video. A lot of creatures and interactive type exhibits like that. This was another haunted house type attraction. I think I went through it. You can see here. And there was some video screens and lights and sound effects. And then throughout the ride, there was a guy who was dressed up, and he came out and kind of scared the guests and so forth. And I think I got a shot of him maybe at the end there, just as I was leaving. So that was kind of fun. Traditional rides, again, you're going to see troikas and other spinning rides like this. It was cool to see these on the trade show floor to get a sense of, again, some of the thematics maybe that different manufacturers or exhibitors had in common. You see another ride here. A lot of these types of rides, I'll show you one that I had a chance to go on, where you are getting some corporeal, bodily effects on you, but you're also then experiencing something in a virtual sense, either through an immersive technology or Oculus glasses or something like that. And then this was one of many food attractions, and that was a particular type of French fry that was being demoed here. There was also a very popular mini donut attraction, or rather technology, that people could come up and get their own samples of mini donuts. Okay, and you can actually see here some of the outdoor activities. So this is your classic bull rider that you see in, you saw this in the 70s a lot, right, where you'd see these in bars, but probably a more modern version of this, and they had a guy riding it. It looked like quite a physical activity. So anyway, I wanted to show you some of the footage, but now I'm going to go back and piece some of this together to focus a little bit on the thematic. So let's take a look then at some of my additional video that I shot while I was at the IAAPA trade show in 2015. Okay, this actually was one of my first experiences at the trade show, and it was this incredible ride where you got inside, it spun you around, and you experienced quite a bit of interactivity with all sorts of haptic and site-based technologies. And it was one of many examples at the trade show where you get the sense that theming and immersion is heading into the future. So many examples of rides that involved multiple forms of technology, multiple forms of sensory immersion in terms of the guest. And that's what's exciting to me about visiting. This was my first IAAPA trade show. Here's a sample. Here you'll hear it. The dinosaur roaring a bit. And what's exciting about all this is you have that sense that you're feeling the future. You're experiencing the future. As I was visiting the show, I was working on an article actually for one of my latest books on themed and immersive spaces, and I was writing about how the trade show does reflect this sensibility about attractions to come. And there's that excitement. I think anytime you go to a trade show, whether it's the Consumer Products Show, the big show that happens, I believe, in Vegas, or the NAMM show, which features all the latest MIDI and musical technologies, or in this case IAAPA, you have that sense that you're seeing what could be the future, in this case, of themed and immersive spaces around the world. And so here I'm showing you some of the stills of the sites that I took in at IAAPA. Again, so much in terms of conceptual design, companies that create thematic experiences in theme parks and museums, other spaces around the world. Saw smoke and dry ice effects. I mean, everything imaginable that you could picture being in a theme park, being in a museum, being in a attraction of any sort, an indoor and outdoor attraction, that those experiences or those types of things were all present at the trade show. Again, just seeing the giant inflatables, I think was pretty incredible. So many rides were suggesting the future of interactivity. I mean, the one thing that occurred to me with looking at some of these hybrid rides, virtual reality, simulation, gaming devices was the cost, in terms of thinking about just how expensive some of these would be to operate and to just purchase, particularly for smaller theme parks or attractions. I guess one of the arguments for them is that they're fully customizable. The ride that I showed you earlier at the beginning of the video, the company, I believe was from Russia, mentioned that you could incorporate any number of different software rides within that game. So thus you could customize it, you could make it different for the guest. So in a sense you're paying for the hardware, and then the software is customizable, and that seems to be the wave of the future, certainly in terms of our own consumer electronics in the home, on our mobile devices, our TV sets, our smart devices, and so forth. Here's another shot of me eating a donut. I couldn't stay away from the donut machine that I showed you an image of earlier, and there certainly was a long line throughout my IAAPA visit, and they're really good. So you know, there's good reason that there was a long line, as I'm expressing here during my visit through the trade show floor. I'm probably trying to get my hands clean at this point because these were glazed donuts and they were really quite sticky, as you might imagine. Okay, I'm taking you here on the floor a little bit to show you some of the coin-op games here. And I saw so many families at the trade show. You know, you could pay a reduced rate, and I saw a lot of families bringing kids in. I mean, certainly some of the conference attendees brought their kids, and that's often a thing at IAAPA, is people trying to secure extra badges. The exhibitors get a certain number of badges that they can have, and then of course IAAPA is very strict, as they need to be, about checking for those badges. I actually saw someone who was using someone else's badge, and the person, the gender of the person didn't match the name, and they, I think, got into some trouble for that. So it makes sense though, because you're trying to promote the fact that this is a conference, and in addition to the trade show floor, there were numerous sessions going on, and those also were very highly attended. The session that I presented had over 250 people, and so you get a sense again of the scale. I think as we're walking through here, we're looking at a gold panning experience that seemed very popular with people who were attending. Again, you get a sense of just how large, 1,000 exhibitors. You get a sense of the scale of the show. You could see some cartoon characters there. Again, everything imaginable you see at the IAAPA show. I think I'm flipping the camera around there to get some still images. I was trying to take everything in, and it was kind of a challenge. I mean, I didn't have a sense of where really to start and what to look at. This I found quite interesting. This was a company that did, it reminded me, a lot of the aesthetic here for tiki bars, but they did various material designs that you could use to create any number of spaces of your choice. And there were a lot of companies premiering rides, and it was exciting to see this. It was exciting to see those previews, just to see the new technology, some of the new theming that is coming out. Right here, I'm going to go up into this treehouse exhibit. One of the exciting things that I found at the trade show was the fact that you could experience so many different spaces, haunted houses, different rides as I'll take you on a few trips through those. And in this case, a treehouse. It reminded me of one of the spaces I visited at the World Expo in Milan. So this was kind of fun to be able to see these spaces, to experience them, to get a sense of immersion. So many examples of shooting galleries, as you can see here again in another example of me shooting at the targets. And yeah, of course, you know, it's exciting, I think, to visit a trade show like this because you do get to try out the various attractions, and there's that sense of fun that I think permeated my entire IAAPA experience. And certainly there's a lot of serious business and deals being made every minute on the trade show floor and in other spaces as well. But it was really exciting to see so many people engaged in the spaces and attractions. So here's one of the, I'll turn up the sound here. Here's one of the mini video game hybrid ride hybrids that I noted during my experiences at IAAPA. In this case, I believe the video was powered by the Unreal Engine, and there was a lot of shaking, certainly, of the ride vehicle, as you'll be able to tell here, and it involved shooting and points, and more we're seeing the video game shooting components being integrated in rides, and this was one example among many. And I have to say that, you know, towards the end of the ride, it started to play almost exactly like a video game, where you got more and more powerful weapons. You were fighting off monsters and zombies, and you sort of progressed through the evolution of the video game gun that I've written about in some other work. You know, you start with a pistol, and then you get into a shotgun, assault rifle, and at the very end, something like an RPG, a tank weapon, and so forth. And you also fight a boss at the end. So for me, I think one of the concerns I have about the ride video game hybrid technology that we're seeing more and more, and certainly I saw everywhere at IAAPA on the trade show floor, is that I think it could fall too much into the realm of a little better version, a little more interactive or sensorial version of what we have at home with our Xbox and PS4s and PS3s and so forth. So that could be a concern to think about. Now, on the other hand, you have other rides like Midway Mania at Disney, where they've taken in another direction, where there's some elements of shooting, but at the same time they're trying to play off of some other interesting ride and story components. The other thing I enjoyed at the trade show was seeing all the miniature models of different things, of water rides and the mock-ups and the mini dioramas of theme parks. And I think that's always, I've always enjoyed the miniature models and seeing those. So it was exciting to see some of that here at the trade show. Again, you get a sense of just how massive the floor is here with the camera, just how many people are there, how many exhibitors, and just how much information there is to take in. And you can see that some of the bigger companies, this particular water park company had, I would say 30 or 40 individuals on the floor greeting people. They had a massive space. I don't think I'd take you through the entirety of it, but I'm always amazed to see, or in this case I was amazed to see how much money was spent, not just on the rental cost of that big plot of land here at the Orange County Orlando Convention Center, but also just the number of workers and the material, bringing all this in, building it, creating it, and hoping ultimately that there'll be a payoff in terms of getting some contracts, in terms of making some connections and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, that was one of the things that was notable at the trade show on the floor, was just all the people making deals. Some of the big ride manufacturers I noted had areas where people could sit down and really discuss business. And so that was something that was notable here for me, to actually see the operations, the deals being made, the decisions being made here as we look at some more very colorful and exciting rides on the trade show floor. Okay, and in just a bit here, I'll turn up the sound for this next attraction. This was a interactive photo booth, and it had a New York theme to it. So let me turn up the sound so you can hear some of this.
Hey, come on, taking pictures here. I tell you, the drivers in the city are insane. Keep your eyes on the road, you know? Let me see you stuck in traffic thing. Yeah, that's it. Ah, New York, the city that never sleeps. Let me see you say Big Apple. This is gonna be a great night. window. You smell that? That's opportunity. Well, not that. That's garbage. Yo, Jimmy! You're never gonna believe what's in my cab. Hey, take a photo for Jimmy. Jimmy, what are you doing? Call me. Oh, yeah, buddy. I'm trying to walk it. Hey, I know you. Hey, can I take a picture? It's like you're the movie Taxi Driver. Let me see your De Niro face. Talking to me? Talking to me? I'm the only one here. Okay, hey, we're here. Don't forget about me in there, all right? Oh, let's take one more for the road. 3, 2, 1. Hey, this man's
And I think
on-
that's one of many examples at IAAPA where we're seeing technologies of the past, such as the classic photo booth, being updated with technologies of the future or the present. It reminded me a little bit of the Polaroid store, the experience in Las Vegas, where Polaroid as a brand and also as a branded space has thought, I think, rather intensely about how to make their products and lifestyle connections with guests updated for the times. And in the background there, you're seeing the snow globe, which for me was the one of the highlights of the trade show. I think it really stood out. So many examples like this one of interactive floors. You see some Barbie branding. I mean, the branding, of course, was very explicit. This was quite interesting coming up here. It was not unlike that last photo booth experience, but in this case it creates this almost like, if you remember the effect of The Matrix, these two ninja-type actors, actresses were demonstrating here for the guests. They were getting into these poses. And then the camera, we'll have to see if I do a close-up, I believe I did. On the camera then, it does this really cool effect. It captures them with a still image, as you'll see in the air, and then it does that sort of 360 enveloping camera technique that you might have remembered from the Matrix films and many, many others in terms of films that had battle sequences and so forth. So I think you'll see some of that here. And stuff like this at the trade show, I think, was smart because it had an interactive performative component to it. Some of the other booths had models in skimpy outfits and so forth, and that was another probably sign of the times in terms of trying to use gender and sex appeal to get people to look at the products and to try out the experiences. And so that's a performative dimension, you might say. And then this next haunted house accoutrement exhibit I thought was pretty interesting. You're going to see a very graphic werewolf here eating a corpse. It was another example of something performative that people found to be maybe disturbing, but it definitely got their attention when they're walking here past some of the other exhibits and restaurants and the like. Taking a look at a little more of that. And you can see that a lot of what you find at the IAAPA trade show is very much customizable. This was pretty interesting, this new take on a bubble machine, I guess you could say. I thought this was kind of cool, the Disney Mickey Mouse floating into the air. And the guy mentioned to me that they have a special technology in there that basically creates a bonding of the bubbles and allows it to have a certain form. So I wanted to end here just on a super fast move through the expo hall, talking to people, doing different things, just to give you a sense of the scale of it. And again, I hope you enjoyed the tour through the hall. It's certainly not complete, but I wanted to give you a sense of just some of my reflections and what I found to be interesting here in 2015, my first experience at the IAAPA trade show in Orlando, Florida.
I hope you enjoyed the video feature today here at IAAPA in Florida, and please come back for additional video features of the Immersive Worlds Handbook.